Ideal Professionals video tutorials, payroll management, setting up payroll wizard, setting up employee record, making payroll entries, and payroll report. Come to dashboard, employees and payroll, employees. Then we also have setting up payroll setup wizard. We can also come to maintain and select payroll setup wizard. So this is our home. You can choose payroll options, company information, set up benefits, set up taxes. We say next. Do it yourself in-house. I'll say next. Online, no, I'll do it myself. I'll say next. Other options, next. The only important information that I'll enter here is LA, that is Lagos. That is star required field. Now say next. The next thing we'll talk about is under pay types. Is it hourly or salary? So I think salary is common in Nigeria. So we double click on salary. Now to enter the different kind of pay types. That means I will say basic, housing, transport, utilities. So I'll enter utilities. I'll enter the first one as basic, capital letter, basic. And I'll now select my salaries and wages. So let me say new. To create, that is shortcut for creating new account. Under expenses, select the last expenses. Select it. I will now change the last expenses. I'll change the account ID. And I'll say enter. I'll now call it salaries and wages. Now click on save. And I'll close it. I'll now press cancel. Select the salaries and wages. Now I double click on this one also to change it to transport, and just say I also select salaries and wages, and I just put the code 710. Just scroll down, select it, click on OK. Also double click. I'll call it housing. On drop down list, select salaries and wages. Then make one more, utility. Then salaries and wages. Now click on OK. So I can enter more up to 20, but let me stop here and continue. I'll say next. This benefit, vacation, sick, retirement, I don't need it, so I'll say next. Under payroll taxes, I'm required to select two accounts, one liability account and an expense account. By default, told me federal payroll taxes. I can try to create my own. I can call my own payee payable or payee remittable. So I can now create new. I will now select the last other current liability. The last other current liability. I can now change the code. I'll say enter. Now call it payee payable. I can now click on save. I can also do that for my expense. It's telling me payroll tax expense. Okay, I think that's okay with me. Payroll tax expense. That's okay. And just close it. Then I'll now select my payee remittable. Then I'll leave it at payroll tax expense as an expense account relating to my payroll. I'll click on next. Then I'll click on finish. So the first thing to do is to set up my payroll. After setting up my payroll wizard, setting up payroll using my wizard, then I will now come to employees and start entering the names of my new employees or all my employees. So we have options: employee, sales rep, or both. You can also put my customer ID. You can say STF for staff. STF. No. STF, that is staff 01. I'll press enter. The first name, and call it Olushola. The last name, I'll call it Toby. And we also have suffix, nickname. You can also enter other information, telephone number. You can also add this picture, email, and other information, additional information. So if I save it, for instance, if I say click on save and I go back to general, it's now highlighting add photo. So I can select add photo to add this picture. But the important aspect I want to talk about is the pay info. For Olushola Toby, with the pay method is salary. So by default, it brought all what we have created in our payroll wizard. You can also say pay frequency monthly. You now enter its basic amount for the month. That is 60,000. Next one, $8,000. The next one, 12,000. And for utility, I can say 5,000. Now click on I can also go to employee field. Under employee field, is telling me federal income, social security, ST income. Under company field also is telling me social sec, medical. So these items under employee field and company field, I don't need both of them. So I need to go to the default for employee to remove all these items and now enter my own information. Like for instance, for employee field, I want payee to be here, payee, staff loan, and employee pension. So I can save this for now. I click on save. Then I will now close to go back to my employee default. I can come here to employee, set up default information, and now come to employee field. I will now delete all what is here. Click on it, press delete. Delete, press delete, click on it, press delete. My jail account will be my payable. It will be my pension. Now I'll select pension payable. Do you have anything on pension? So I need to create pension. I'll say new. I'll select the last order current liability. I'll now name it pension payable. And increase the number. No. The last order current liability. Pension payable, say select. You can also have staff loan in case we give loan to staff. These are the deductions. Staff loan. I'll now create account for staff loan. Let me see if we have any account for staff loan under mine. staff loan will be, let me select new. Staff loan will be under other current liabilities. No. 50. Yeah, 5. I'll call it staff loan. Under other current liability. I click on save. I'll say close. So this is my employee deduction. You can also come to company field and delete as usual. Clicking on it, select it, delete, delete. So I can now say my employee field. Okay, click on OK. So let me go back to my employee. I can now come to view and edit employees. That is to be Uluwashola. Double click. I can now come to employee field. It's now telling me payee, pension, staff loan. These are now my deductions. The important thing to note is that you must put a negative sign. A negative sign. Let me uncheck this. Now select this. Must put a negative sign when entering deductions. So say minus. Assuming the payee, after computing the payee, the total now gives me 7,000. Let me say 7,800. Then for my pension also, select it. I will uncheck this. Now come here, minus 7,000. Let me see, 9,000. I want to check this also, but the particular staff do not have staff loan, didn't borrow money from the company, so I'll leave it, save it, and enter for one more employee. Let me say staff 2, enter the name. I can say first name John, and the second name is Sina. So I can enter his payroll amount minus 8,000 because it's deduction, minus 15,000. Then he has staff loan from us, borrowed 3,000 minus 3,000. So you can now select his pay info. His pay info is monthly, so I can now select his pay info, enter the prices. I'll say 90,000. Then 4,000 for facility. Total monthly salary 117,000. Annual salary will be 1,404,000. So I'll say save. This is how to create our employee record. Having done that, I can now say close. I can also close this. I can now refresh. It's now showing my employee 1 and 2. The next thing to do is to make payroll entries. Say payment for one employee. I'll select one account for posting transaction. I can say my checking account. This is my bank account. I'll say okay. Which employee are talking about? Let's take the first one. Check number. You can select as at making payment 5th of January. You can now see, so automatically brought all the info I've entered. So if the amount is the same for the next month, you don't need to change anything. You just keep on post for January, February, and so on. But if it changes, then you can always go to the customer record and make the changes. So, and I'll just select save. So that's all. That's how to post for each. I'll select the next person also, John Cena. It brings me all this information. 117,000. It's now adding the check number by 1. Now see, then the total amount it's collecting is 91,000 after deducting all his tax, benefit, and liabilities from the gross pay. Give me 91,000. I'll just say save. Having done that, I can now go to my report. I have my report here, and I can also come back to the dashboard and select reports. So we have different kind of reports: current earning report, employee compensation report, payroll journal, payroll register. Let me select payroll journal. Now telling me the one that was debited, the one that was credited, debited, credited. You can also have the employee list, employee addresses, single, salaried, so on and so forth. You can always check all other reports. In this tutorial, we talked about setting up payroll wizard, setting up employee record, default informations for employee, making payroll entries, and also payroll report. I hope this has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing.